regularly. And this morning we'll be working with a beautiful contemporary maneuver that actually assists the lymph to move. Now, this particular maneuver is called the 3-phase maneuver. It is just a name that helps me remember that this particular practice helps the body in 3 ways, hence 3-phase. The first thing that it is doing is mobilizing lymph, especially in you could argue that of the 6 main lymphatic gates, that the first one around the jawline, the neck, and the collarbones is actually the most important. And so this maneuver stimulates lymph through into the neck, collarbones, and up into the head. The second benefit of this maneuver is that it encourages circulation and blood flow, again, into that region. And then third and finally, this is a vagal maneuver. So we're creating some very subtle tensioning in that 10th cranial nerve. Now, before we move into the maneuver, it's a good idea to just take a lay of the land and see how your neck and jaw have arrived with you this morning. So I'll ask you just to very slowly and curiously articulate the bones and the joints in the neck, moving through your full range of motion and paying attention to how the neck and jaw have turned up with you on the mat. Now that we've taken a little diagnostic lay of the land, we'll move into the maneuver. Please make a fist with your left hand and pop it underneath your chin. And we're going to hold here, anchoring the chin down quite firmly against the fist and lifting the collarbones up quite brightly toward the back of that left wrist. So you can feel that there's an equal and opposite co-activation of the muscles around the neck. And now, holding on to that, please place your right hand just at the occiput. So it's not the curve of the neck, it's not the back of the head, it's that beautiful little primary curve where the skull inserts itself onto the spine, relaxing the shoulders and keeping the breath moving, and holding here, pushing the chin down, lifting the chest up, and now press your head really quite deliberately against the right hand, almost as though your intention was to send your skull toward the back corner of the ceiling, but the right hand's preventing that movement. And I'll get you just to hold that there, please, and hold, and hold, and hold. Good. And now when you're ready, just let the arms relax. Notice again how the neck is feeling. These fascial maneuvers don't announce themselves with any fanfare. They're quite subtle. We're going to perform that once more. Please, again, take your left fist, pop it under your chin. Chin pushes down, collarbones lift up, and the right hand cradles the occiput. Holding there, please. Keeping the chin pushing down, chest lifting up, and pressing your head against the right hand. Shoulders relaxed, breath moving, and hold. And now relax the arms. And again, just noticing what, if any, difference there is for you in the head and neck. I tend to feel a little bit of a warm flush through that region, but everyone's different. And now we'll move into our second maneuver, and this one is called the silent scream. Before we move into it, please just open and close your jaw a few times, giving the jaw a little bit of a wiggle, noticing how the skull and the jaw are feeling. And now for this one, we'll take the right fist Pop that underneath the chin. And we're wanting to drive that right fist up really deliberately and anchor the chin down to meet the force of that fist. So again, there's a co-activation of the muscles in the neck. And now holding that, fist drives up, chin drives down, and now open your mouth as wide as you can and keep the breath moving. And hold. And hold. And hold. And let that go. Maybe giving the jaw another little wiggle. If you know you have a tendency to clench or grind your teeth, these maneuvers are very, very therapeutic. Good. Moving now into a more traditional bandha. This one is called Jivha bandha. Jivha simply means tongue, and bandha means to bind or to seal. We begin by moving the tongue to rest up against the hard palate, especially the back of the tongue. And now please initiate your own natural sucking or swallowing reflex so that you feel the tongue has just gently, hermetically sealed itself up against the roof of the mouth. Of course, keeping the breath moving. And now holding the tongue there, begin to hinge the lower jaw open like this. And just holding that, keeping the breath moving through the nose, you might sense that beautiful stretch around that little piece of connective tissue that ties the tongue into the lower part of the jaw. Maybe letting the tongue click away now. And we'll take several more rounds of this. So again, when you're ready, invite the tongue to nestle up against the hard palate, find that natural sucking reflex. And then when the tongue's in position, open the jaw nice and slowly. Please don't be surprised if this is actually quite challenging. We hold a lot of unconscious tension in the tongue. It is imperative that we release some of that tension. Take a few rounds in your own time. The strength and flexibility of the tongue helps us to create the laryngeal diaphragmatic seal in our practice. And believe it or not, the tongue position as it rests against the roof of the mouth plays a very critical role in managing the pressure in the lymphatic and circulatory vessels in the top part of the body. So again, impacting the lymphatics. Good. And now that we have finished all of our preparations, I'll invite you to come and establish yourself in your upright seat. If you're sitting in a chair, that's fine. Just feet flat on the floor, please. And otherwise, please ensure that your seat is steady and easeful. Take your time to get into position. And we'll begin to drop down with a few rounds of our reset breath pattern. Please exhale as completely as you can. Now take a big boisterous inhalation through the nose. Hold onto that, top it up with a second nasal inhale and out through the mouth really slowly. Perhaps pursing the lips to force the exhale to slow down. Again, big nasal inhale, second top up inhale, and let it out slowly through the mouth. Please take 3 more rounds of your reset breath now on your own. If you are detecting that there's a background hum of anxiety, or you feel like you want to take a couple more rounds of your reset breath, then please do. And when you're ready to come to settle, nestle the tongue up against the roof of the mouth. Allow the jaw to soften. Direct your eye gaze gently down toward the bridge of the nose and come to meet your breath. Moving the breath slowly and smoothly in and out through the nose. Keeping your attention within the nostrils, allowing that sensation of the air moving in the channels of the nose to help you anchor your attention. Softening through the shoulders. And encouraging the rib cage and the belly to move freely. Invite yourself to become aware of the sensation of the inhale as it fills the lungs. The experience of the exhalation as the lungs empty. Allowing yourself to be content with this simple rhythm for now. Tongue rests against the ceiling of the mouth. Eye gaze directed gently toward the nose. The breath moving through the nostrils. And the simple awareness of the rise and fall of the breath. When you are ready, begin to very gently hug your windpipe toward the back of the throat in exactly the same way as you would if you were fogging up a pane of glass, but keeping the breath moving through the nose. Creating a very subtle narrowing of the airway so that your breath takes on some texture and tone. Listening intently to the sound of the breath. Can you create a sound and a sensation that is very smooth, Perhaps noticing how the valve-like mechanism in the throat allows you to slow the breath down. Slowly savoring and sipping the air through the nose. Feeling it move down the back of the throat and diffuse into the lungs. Offering up the exhalation slowly and smoothly. Tongue rests against the roof of the mouth. The eye gaze gently down toward the nose. Please begin to notice how long your inhalations are this morning. Counting a few cycles of breath. And once you have ascertained where the inhale has landed, please bring your exhalation up to match. Allow your mind to be anchored in the count. Keeping the count steady and rhythmic. And continue to allow your physical senses to be engaged in the sensations of the breath. Stay with this. Just this breath. Just this moment. If you get lost or become distracted, gently and lovingly invite yourself back. At the end of your next exhalation, letting go of that pattern, but remember your count. Allow your breath to return to its natural, quiet state. And simply sit in the space and the steadiness that you have created. taking this opportunity, if you need, to gently readjust your seat, but try not to dissolve into unnecessary fidgeting or distraction. We pick up now on the feature technique for this week, which is a practice called Surya Vedana. Surya is the Sanskrit word for sun, and Vedana means to pierce or to cut. Surya Vedana is a practice that involves an inhalation through the right nostril and an exhalation through the left nostril. When practicing techniques that involve occlusion of the nostrils, you can either physically seal the nostril with your dominant or working hand. The traditional hand mudra or position is Vishnu mudra, where we fold the index and middle fingers down to touch the base of the thumb. However, I have noticed more and more that our modern bodies, because this is probably your scrolling thumb, I've noticed that modern bodies tend to not like this position. And if that is you, please know that you can work with whatever position of the hands, whatever finger combination that you like. What is important is the method in which you seal the nostrils. So it's not a clunky push of the fingers against the nostrils. What we're looking for is to create a seal. So take a practice with me now, if you will, and just lift up your dominant thumb and sealing off one of the nostrils just near the fold there, and press gently in and slightly up. Good. So we want a gentle push in and then slightly up. There are many people who, for whatever reason, do not enjoy or appreciate the physical occlusion of the nostrils. And so if that is you, you can absolutely work with these techniques by simply placing your attention from side to side as we work. In fact, this is my teacher's preferred method. If you're going to work with your hand, just rest that elbow in the opposite hand, creating a shelf so that your shoulders and your neck can stay relaxed. Now that we've got all of that technical information out of the way, let's come back to settle, please. In your upright seat, bringing your tongue to rest against the roof of the mouth, settling your eye gaze gently down in the direction of your nose, and coming back into the breath. Re-establishing the sound and sensation of your ujjayi technique, that very gentle hug of the windpipe. Allow yourself to become absorbed in the sound and the feeling of the breath. And then re-establish your Samavritti 1 cadence, the even inhale and exhale. Once more, settling your mental energy within the count. Preparing the working hand, lifting it into position gently. At the end of your next exhalation, please seal off your left nostril and inhale through the right nostril. Stay with your count, sealing the right nostril and exhaling left. Inhale right. Exhale left. Inhale right. Exhale left. Please stay with this. Keeping your mind anchored in the count. Inhaling right nostril and exhaling left. No tension or strain. Tongue rests against the roof of the mouth. Eye gaze toward the nose. A smooth ujjayi breath. The even rhythm. Inhaling right and exhaling left. At the end of your next exhalation through the left nostril, allow your working hand to come to rest in your lap. And take a moment here to be present with how you are feeling after that practice. The Surya Vedana pattern is mildly stimulating, warming, energizing, a yang pattern and energy that is perfectly appropriate for mornings and especially this time of year. When you are ready, please carefully make your way down onto your back for your Shavasana, moving in a way that creates the least disruption. Coming to settle underneath your blanket or with whatever props you enjoy using. Please consider lying with the palms of the hands facing the ceiling, gently scooping the lower corners of your shoulder blades up and underneath you. Encourage them to lay flat so that your chest feels open. Let the toes just fall away from the heels. And notice the contact points of your body against the earth. Encouraging the bones to feel heavy. And giving yourself permission to sink into the support of the earth beneath you. This morning, as an anchor for our attention in our Shavasana, we will work with our Samavriti 2 pattern, our box breathing. You can use your Ujjayi technique or not for this part of the practice. When you're ready, begin to move your breath, inhaling, pausing after the inhale, exhaling, pausing after the exhale, coming back into the count that you have been working with this morning. Keeping each of the 4 sides of the breath even. As your body softens and absorbs the benefits of your practice, keep your mind anchored in the count. And stay with this until the sound of my voice summons you back. Allow your breath to return now to its natural state without any counting. Listening intently to the sounds of the room around you. The sounds of the household. Any external sounds like traffic, birds, or weather. Take whatever gentle movements feel natural and nourishing. Perhaps rotating into the wrists and ankles. Maybe having a yawn and a stretch. Take your time to roll onto your right hand side. If you have low blood pressure, please roll to the left. And remain here for just a moment. Gently bringing your attention into the space. Carefully curling your way to an upright seat. As you arrive in your seat, remaining please for just a moment with your eyes closed, with your attention directed inwards. Allow the corners of your mouth to turn up slightly, thanking yourself for starting your day with such a wonderful practice. We'll float the palms to meet one another in front of your heart, or if you prefer, just rest one hand on your chest and the other on your belly. Punctuating the end of our session, as always, with gratitude and acknowledgement, as we offer our thanks for the gift of this day, our lives and our health, and as we extend our respects and acknowledgements to one another, this shared experience, and to the custodians of this living tradition. As always, my deep respect, oodles of affection, and massive truckloads of gratitude to you all, my friends. Thank you so much for your company. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. Have a wonderful day. Lots of love. I will see you all again next week. Mwah.